What's up, everybody? Welcome back to T-Lo's Garage. And today, I will be rigging an unnecessary amount of electronics on my Gheenoe with just the use of a Milwaukee battery. So let's get into it. So you may be wondering why I would be using a Milwaukee battery for my electronics aside from a car battery like everyone else uses. Well, I'll tell you. I'm going to be putting a car battery in here for my trolling motor. And yes, I could run all my electronics off that battery, but the motor that's on the boat is too small to be recharging a battery of that size. So for example, let's say I go out, I use my trolling motor all day long. I wear the battery down to nothing. Bam. I'm not legal. I have no lights to get me anywhere. Hence, the Milwaukee battery. Plus, with the items that I have here, they won't draw too much power only because I will only be using the nav light and the anchor light at the same time. Aside from that, it'll be the occasional light bar or the occasional bilge pump, and that, I'm not even going to be using the fish finder. It's really just being put on there for show. But for now, let's go through everything that I have that I'm going to be putting on this, show you how to do it, where everything is going to go, and see what the final product is going to look like. So let's get into it. All right, starting with the front of the boat, we got the light bar. I don't exactly know where I'm going to mount it because this is not the best mounting surface, but if it goes there, it goes there. 2 nav lights. I was really excited to show these to you. They're fully sealed stainless steel lights that you drill holes into the side of your hull right here. And you mount these by, well, I'm going to be putting a little silicone or 5200 around the edge and then screwing it in. So you got your nav lights on each side. And they were super cheap on Amazon, which, by the way, everything you see here was on Amazon. I spent less than $100, aside from the fish finder and the wire that you'll see. But anyways, as we keep going, we got the fish finder, which will eventually be on a grab bar that I get later. We got the switch panel location, and then we got this Milwaukee battery adapter with the positive and negative wire, the switch, and it is already fused. That will be connected to the switch panel, which will be running the power for everything, obviously. We got our duplex wire. I believe it's 14 gauge, which is more than plenty for what we're using it for. We've got our bilge pump, which will obviously be mounted back here somewhere. And then we've got our anchor light. So now you may be wondering, oh man, where are you gonna be hiding all this wiring? Well, funny you ask. When I built the deck on YouTube, go check it out, I put a piece of PVC going from roughly in this area all the way to the front hatch, which you'll see here is the other end of the PVC to obviously run my duplex wire from my lights back to my switch panel. So I'm gonna have to cut a hole out for the switch panel, and then I don't know what I'm gonna do about this guy. I'm thinking some sort of waterproof box, or I put a little dry box right here and keep it permanent so it sits in there so it doesn't get wet or destroyed. We're gonna have to cross that bridge when we get to it, but for now, I'm gonna start by running the wire, cutting a hole into the seat to mount the switch panel, and seeing exactly how this is gonna take shape. All right, so I got my template cut out here, and all this foam, luckily it's dry. Sometimes you'll see that it's wet and will ruin things, but you take a paddle bit and slowly just drill it all out so we can expose the conduit, get the wires through so we can wire in our switch panel. Say hi, Mitchell.
Hello.
All right, so I got the foam drilled out enough to fit the switch panel. If I can get it in there. Bam. Which I think fits pretty perfect there. But now, I did run my snake through here already. I'm gonna go ahead and pull our 2 wires in, through there, out there for the light bar and the anchor light. And then I went ahead and drilled a hole here so I can have 2 more wires coming up through to the back, one for the anchor light, one for the bilge pump. So let's do it. All right, everybody, it's next day, and I think I'm just gonna start tackling putting all of the attachments on the boat so we can get it all wired in. So I'm gonna start front to back with the nav lights. I'm just gonna drill a hole right through here for the light bar. I might put a separating block, I have no idea. And then I'm going to butt connect those, come back here, and I'm gonna mount the anchor light and the bilge pump, butt connect those together, get the switch panel in, wire it up to the Milwaukee battery, and we'll be in business. So let's get started. All right, so I got the nav lights and the light bar in, and I got it sealed, wired in on the inside. I'm gonna go ahead and show you guys what they look like turned on. First up, we got the light bar. Works great. And then nav lights. So this is what the nav lights look like when they're on, and they definitely don't seem as bright on camera, but they're super bright. And I love the way that they're flush mounted, and I think they just look sick. So now that we got the nav lights, light bar on, and they work, we're gonna come back here to the bilge area. Don't mind my mess. And we're gonna get the anchor light mounted and wired up. We're gonna get the bilge wired up, and somehow, maybe I'll glue it in or something, I have no idea. And then lastly, we'll work on the switch panel. All right, we got the anchor light mounted, butt connected and heat shrunk, as well as the bilge pump. And I only do that because this is more exposed to water and I don't want any leakage. So just for security purposes, I put heat shrink on there. So we'll go ahead and plug those into the Milwaukee battery just to see if they work. All right, so first up we got anchor light, which it works, but I did not realize how bright that would be. I guess it's better for more visibility on the water. Now we'll see if the bilge works. Well, it definitely works. Which, this bilge pump is like a 750 gallon an hour bilge pump, which is way too overkill for this, but that's okay. Better safe than sorry. So I am going to clean up these wires and get them to, you know, somehow look semi-decent coming out through here. But anyways, now we're gonna focus on the switch panel, which is just as simple as adding a few blade connectors on the positive side and then mounting all your negatives to your ground bar. Which my plan for putting this Milwaukee battery in is I think I'm just gonna put a small little dry box right here in this area somewhere to house the mount for the battery holder and the ground bar, just so I know they stay dry and they won't be exposed to the elements. So for right now, let's go ahead and get started on that. It's not as neat as I would like it, but it'll do. Made up this harness, and I blocked off the cigarette lighter because this is already sketchy enough. I don't really want to have a cigarette lighter and have more of a fire potential. So I got all my connections done. I got my 3M tape here. So I'm gonna go ahead and run all my wires through this hole to connect to this ground bar. Bear with me, guys. I've been getting super sick and I've been losing my voice as the day goes on today. But I got everything hooked up. It's not as neat as I would like it, obviously, The power wire for the switch panel did not give me very much length at all, but I will still be putting a dry box here to house this stuff. But anyways, you turn this on, you got your switch panel. Now I made the first one my bilge, second one a blank, third one is my light bar, as you can see. Number 4 is the anchor light, and number 5 is the nav lights. And maybe an electrician can tell me that all these lights can't be ran off an 18-volt Milwaukee battery, and maybe I need to move down to 12-volt because these are all 12-volt lights. I have no idea. Or the boat's just gonna catch on fire and it'll make good content. All right, guys, I forgot to hit the play button on my time lapse of finalizing everything on the boat, but it is what it is. I did come up with a solution though for housing my Milwaukee battery to stay dry for my switch panel, which was a Rubbermaid Tupperware. Instead of the $60 Plano dry box I was looking at, why not a watertight, air-sealed Tupperware box from Walmart for $7? So I think it's gonna work. I submerged it in water, did a test on it, completely fine. Anyways, I did move the grounding bar inside of the seat and I put it in its own little plastic box. But to finalize all of the wiring, I just added a few zip ties and kind of routed it to where it would stay. Nothing crazy. Not the cleanest, not the worst you've ever seen. And then obviously came up here and zip tied those together. Right now I'm just putting my trolling motor mount on because I haven't done that yet. So I'm just finalizing everything so I can finally take this thing out reliably and make videos with it. So I'm also putting a new gas tank in because that one leaks like crazy and it's obviously seen better days. I put a new prop on it. My other prop got a huge crack in it last time I took it out. So I figured it'd be better to be safe than sorry and just get a new one. But this is it. This is finalizing my Gheenoe. I don't exactly know what's in store for this thing from videos here on. I think I just want to do some camping videos and some survival-esque videos with it. But if you've stayed this long, I appreciate you watching this video. Consider subscribing, and we'll see you guys next time.